In high school, all of my good friends decided to go to college. And actually, they didn't really decide, just people in their families went to college. My family was a little different. Nobody in my family had gone to college before. So I decided I'm going to go with my friends. I'm going to go to college too. And I was going to figure it out, just grab the application, the course catalog. I went up to my bedroom, desk in the corner. I usually did my homework and just started figuring it out. And I couldn't figure it out. You know, there was all these weird academic words, like bachelor. I'm like, well, I'm male and single, don't I already have that? And there was undergraduate and major and minor and concentration and college and university. Really, what is the difference between a college and a university? My dad dropped out of elementary school. He finished grade 6 and entered the workforce at age 11. He's turning 80 in June and is still working. It's amazing. He's an amazing guy. Yeah, thanks, Dad. Way to go. And my mom, she did graduate and got her beautician license, but she spent most of her life raising me and my 2 brothers, which we made more than a full-time job. So I didn't really feel comfortable asking them, and I was too embarrassed and proud to ask my friends. So I thought, how can I figure this out? And I still can't remember what made me think this. So I was like, the public library. I'm going to go to the public library because it's 1990, and that's where you go to get info. So I got in my secondhand truck that my parents gave me with my newly minted driver's license and walked in there, and it's just what you would imagine a public library in the 1990s to be like, sort of shabby chic, a bit dingy, that musty smell of old books, and a lot of extra fluorescent lighting. And I guess I was loitering and trying to find stuff out. And this young librarian just came up and asked me, and he's like, well, what do you need? What are you looking for? And maybe it was because he was young. He was only seemed only a couple years older than me. Or maybe because he was a librarian, had that librarian aura. And I just said, I'm going to college. I have no idea how. So he just was great. For the next couple of weekends, I came back each weekend, and he brought out these books that were sort of like dummies for college before there were those books. And even more importantly, as I think back on it, I had questions, and he just answered because he had gone to college and was able to help me out. And so, I went to college. I got that bachelor. And yeah, thank you. The Bachelor opened lots of doors, as many of us know. I got to work for Canada Customs. That was my first job after getting the Bachelor. Arrested some Americans for lying about guns. Arrested some Canadians for lying about drugs and alcohol. And what I realized was that I still loved school. I really dug it. So I decided to go back and I got my PhD, also a weird term, philosophy doctor, but I'm a psychologist, has nothing to do with philosophy, academia. And it was the 1990s, early 2000s, and technology was this huge thing. So I was studying how do people communicate via technology, like AOL chat and stuff. And then I got really lucky, got a job at Cornell where I became a professor, and I married sort of that deception stuff from customs with technology and was like, how does technology change the way we lie? And it was great. I loved it, and I became sort of like an expert on it, and Stanford even said, hey, come on over here. So I came, and I was about to write a popular book on all my research over 15 years, how technology can actually reduce the way we lie. And then 2016, and the election occurred, and fake news took over everything, and misinformation was everything, right? Obviously, technology makes us lie more. And I was like, yeah, that's not what my research is saying. And I have this whole book proposal. And every time I told people and then talked to publishers, they were like, no, that's stupid. And there was even data, there's a lot of misinformation on social media. So I was pretty, kind of depressed, professionally embarrassed, I would say. And I had a sabbatical coming up, so I took it and just, wandered the streets, wondering, how did I screw this up so bad? So I think I figured out one thing, and that was that I was interested in how people talk to each other with technology that they know, like their friends and their family and their colleagues, and maybe that online data they want to know, And there, I think my research is right, that actually technology can reduce it. There's a record, for example. Any divorce case, lawyers talk about email as evidence mail. It's not email for anything else, it's evidence. And so lying when people you know is probably a bad thing. But then I came to realize like social media is mostly about other people talking to you that you don't know. And that's not changing. That's a $1 trillion industry right there. And I kind of lost my optimism. I'm a Canadian and optimist, so those are sometimes confounded, but still I was feeling pretty down. But I came back in my research group here at Stanford, the social media lab. We decided to maybe focus on the people since we can't change media that much. And we thought about improving people's digital literacy. And not just anybody's digital literacy, specific people. You know, like a young woman in an urban neighborhood, she's gonna have a lot of different misinformation challenges than, say, a guy in a rural community. She's gonna get mental health misinformation via TikTok, and he's gonna get polarizing political information on a website. They need different, help. So one of the partners we were working with, called MediaWise, said, hey, we work with the American Library Association. And I was like, whoa, librarians, I haven't thought about them for decades. Like when I need something from the library, I sit at my computer in my office and download it, right? Like who goes to the library anymore? No need to get the truck. But we started interviewing these librarians because guess what? There's a library in every community in America. There's well over 10,000 libraries. And each of them has librarians like my librarian guy, dedicated to helping their community. And the stories they have are amazing. I'm gonna tell you one that I learned a lot from. Her name was Flo, and she'd worked in New Mexico in a really small community, including a Navajo reservation where she worked on the library there since the 80s. And she told us a great story and just lit up. President Bill Clinton came and visited her community in the late 90s. And it was about the digital divide. He was coming to talk about how his administration was bringing the internet to everybody. And they were doing it at the YMCA, and she was laughing about how the hospital had just been connected. So they literally dragged a cable across the road to the YMCA in case the president needed to make an email. And she was still so excited about that. She's like, but the one weird thing was I was looking there and I'm listening. I was so proud to be there, physically standing by the president, but realizing that many in her community didn't have houses with running water. There was no electricity in many houses, let alone all this digital stuff. And it just was a reminder for me of like, yeah, misinformation is important in my research, but it's not really the most important thing for most people. So that was one thing. And then just listening to Flo and the amount of time she'd been there, I was thinking back to my time in the library, right, with the musty books, and there were microfiche and index cards, right? And I don't think there was a computer, maybe one, but now the way Flo is described in the library is it's really about like connecting people to resources wherever they may be. It's not about the library, the building anymore. And it was a reminder for me of like how we can change and adapt. Yeah, things are hard and things change, but the librarians that we've been interviewing really showed me that we can change as well. And I want to thank them for two things. One, for bringing this Canadian's optimism back. I'm really still excited about people and technology. And I got to thank that guy back in the day, that librarian, for opening up a world for me and letting me live this dream. So thank you.